am I right in saying that you have a young horse who is a little bit of a potential superstar called Cooley HHS Calmaria, and that Equilume has made a real difference in terms of finding the key to unlock some of her talents?
Yeah, she's an interesting mare. I always say she's probably one of the trickiest horses I've ever had and the most talented. She's quite quirky and she's quite hot, and she's got a lot of opinions. And it was interesting when I first met Michael at Equilume, we just put one of the masks on her, and we put the mask on her and she immediately put her head to the floor, which was the weirdest thing. So we started using that regularly on her and at the shows and everything, and she's definitely turned the corner, almost instantly settled more as a horse and become more trainable.
Oh God, it's so exciting. Happy Hail Bob Day.
It is a happy Hail Bob Day.
Hello, the Curse of Durham.
It's the best finishing score we've seen at 5-star level.
That was our elo coming into the competition.
Eventing Manager is back.
Best show that we have, Alphabetti Spaghetti.
Looking forward to seeing quality horses.
Still a great day for Ireland.
Thank you very much for coming on the show.
I mean, you're a bit of an eventing geek just like us.
And it's time to get on with the show. Welcome to the EquiRatings Eventing podcast, and listeners, we have got an Equilume special for you because today's guest is none other than the winner of the Eventing Ireland Equilume Power Average League in 2021. She had the most extraordinary power average, 18.8. We're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail, listeners. I mean, 18.8, sub 20. Right, stop. Let's just introduce her. Ella Boyle, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
It is our absolute pleasure. I was getting totally sidetracked with an 18.8 as an average, listeners, of your best three final scores from any Eventing Ireland event last year. We're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail. But first of all, Ella, just tell us about yourself, because you are currently laid up on the injured list.
So currently, the another season not really going to plan. Last year started with a bit of a bump in the road, and this season has followed suit. And I'm not doing very much at the minute with a broken pelvis. So a bit of a non-start season yet again, but hopefully we'll be back at some point this year.
What an absolute nightmare. So what happened? Because you had a rotten start to last season, which we'll come on to in a second, but tell us a bit more about sort of how long you've been off.
So this year, I had a bad fall on about the 5th of January and spent a week in hospital, got plated back into shape, I hope. My symphysis was displaced and my pelvis was broken in 4 places. So it's a bit of a waiting game. Basically, I can only go as quick as the bones can heal. So I've been off about 6 weeks so far in rehab and trying to get back on my feet, which I'm down to one crutch, so I'm walking just about. But yeah, the rehab I suppose will be slow and steady. But obviously the aim's just to get back in the saddle as quickly as possible.
Slow and steady. The slower you go, the quicker you get there. I mean, not the words you want to hear right now.
No.
Let's rewind it 12 months, because obviously the Equilume Power Average League, which was announced going into the start of last season, basically was looking for the average of a horse's 3 best finishing scores from any Eventing Ireland event last year. Horses had to have at least 3 completions to be eligible to win, and any competition went. So it could have been literally 90 level all the way up to advanced level. So it was any horse's age, any horse's experience, everybody up against each other. And you actually won with a power average of 18.8, which I've already said about 50 million times on this show, because that is just extraordinary, the average of your 3 best finishing scores, especially when we take into account the fact that your 2021 again was a slow start. So talk us through the beginning of last year, because we're going to get the good bit in a minute.
So the similar time last year, it was February last year, I had a very random accident walking a horse off the walker at home. He spooked, shot out of my hand, kicked back and got me bang in my middle and I lost 70% of my liver. I broke ribs. I had lots of internal damage, basically. So I lay in ICU for a week, hospital for a further month, and then escaped eventually and got sort of as quickly as I could back on my feet, back on the horses. It was mad and not very much not the plan, but look, I suppose you live and you learn. I'm very cautious now, not that I wasn't. And then I got back eventing, I think July. I had 4 or 5 months off and I was back. I think July was my first run. And we obviously missed a lot of the sort of big aims last year, but I was lucky enough to get a couple of confident runs at the end on a range of my guys. And yeah, back in the saddle was the main aim after the bad start, to be honest.
I'm not surprised. I mean, that is just unbelievably rotten luck, especially when you look at it, a year on and think a similar sort of situation. But let's talk about getting back into the saddle, because introduce us to Denali, who was the horse on whom you won the Equilume Power Average League. And she is a bit of a superstar.
So Denali I've had for 2 years, I think. Bit of a slow start as a partnership. We actually, to be fair, COVID didn't really help us. But we had a bit of a slow first year. Then last year, I sort of was all guns blazing, really clicked with her, ready to go, and then that happened. So Adam Hall, my boyfriend, took over the reins of a couple of my guys and did a little bit with her very successfully as well. So I can't take full credit, but so she had a good start to the season with him, picked up a couple of wins, and then I did one event before I evented her with my older ones, and then I brought her out. And actually, we were really lucky because I think our average includes all 3 of the runs I did on her last year. So yeah, she's super talented. She's sort of, I hope she's got it all. She's really lovely on the flat, so rideable, super jumper, and she's all around a very nice sort of horse, I hope.
I mean, I love that you sort of say a little bit unlucky in that it was your only 3 scores. Yeah. Your only 3 scores. You finished on a 22.8 in a 100 at Lockhamore, which you were competing Hors Concours, and then she did a 10.5 dressage. I mean, shame on you for getting 2 time faults in the cross country and finished on a terrible score of 12.5. And then obviously went to Ballindennis and finished on 21.1. So the average of those 3 was what won you the Power Average League, 18.8, as I say, just absolutely extraordinary. And I would say that her results with you at Ballindennis in the new 1-star international class, where she finished on that 21.1, is actually in the top 3 best finishing scores by an 8-year-old in, I think it's the last 5 seasons. So going back to 2017, that is very, very much up there. Although, as I say, it's the 3rd best. I think the best, listeners, I'll just double check for you. The best was Bobby Upton, Eros DHI, 16.7 at Mill Street, 2017. That was the new European Championships. And then William Fox Pitt at Tattersalls, Georgisaurus, 20.5. And then it is Denali. And they are the best finishing scores by an 8-year-old going back to 2017, all levels. So it really, really did rack up there with some of the best scores that we've seen. In terms of her performance, obviously it had been a slightly tricky start to the year. Were you surprised by how well she came out? Obviously she had shown some great form with Adam, but even so, that is an exceptional finish to the year.
Yeah, the plan was really just to especially for me in the situation I'd been put in, was just to get a couple of confident runs. I didn't want to push any of them. I just sort of wanted to get a nice little bit of mileage up at the end of the year to get me back on track for this year, I suppose. So I think with MERs or whatever, I had to run at Lockhamore HC, and then the plan was just to get a couple of novices, which, yeah, she went to Lusks and she did do a very nice test in my eyes, but I was still shocked to get the mark, as I think anyone is, because judges don't like to throw the marks at you. So,
please tell me you've got that test sheet framed or something.
Actually, I don't.
Look, what are you doing? You've got all this time on your hands now.
Yeah,
you can get yourself a frame, put it up in the downstairs.
No, she was very good that day, and she's very good on the flat. I'm to be honest really interested in the dressage side of things as well. So I really enjoy her because she's really, she's fancy in a nice way, but she works with you so well as well. Like, she's very trainable. And you always know that you can go into the arena with her, and she likes to show off, which helps. It was the same at Ballindennis. She went in and just really showed herself off well, really listened, and you can't ask much more. And she definitely deserved the good marks, to be fair to her.
And what about finding out that you had won the Power Average League? Because you beat Sarah Ennis, a Greenhall Granwell, who finished on a 20.0 as their power average. And that was including that incredible 6.5. Yeah. That's like the mythical 6.5 that we've spoken about on the podcast before. Amanda Goldsbury, 20.7 as a power average, was third with Red Hot Chili Philly. So you were in amongst some very, very good company. When did you find out? Was it on your radar heading into Ballindennis that actually this could be something that you could win?
The 6.5 was certainly I think, as everyone thought, that wasn't going to be beaten. That was going to keep Sarah very much in pole position. And obviously with the good score at Lusks, I thought, and Ballindennis went really well. Again, I just wanted a good run, never sort of putting the pressure on last year at all. And then when she sort of did achieve that, I thought, oh gosh. And I didn't really realize though until after, and I think they had put it up online, and I thought, it was to be honest, it was just a really nice bonus considering we got 3 runs and they went so well. It was so nice. It was such a nice finish to the year when it looked so bleak at the start. It was such a nice little high to finish on, and yeah, it was very kindly sponsored by Equilume, it's a really good thing to aim for, and it's such a good league now for us to have over here. Yeah, it's competitive though.
It is very competitive. Yeah. And I think actually when Sarah Ennis did the 6.5 as a finishing score, I seem to remember Sam actually saying, I can't see anybody beating this now, because it was just so strong that if you got her 3 results on the board, that it was going to be very, very tough to beat. You picked up €1,000 prize pot, which is in eventing terms extremely generous and a very, very nice cherry on top of the cake. But you also got an Equilume casual light mask. So who is the lucky lady to wear that? Is it Denali?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So she is Denali's a sensitive little girl. She doesn't come without her quirks. So to be fair, on speaking to Equilume, it definitely sounded like something that could suit her and that I'd be really interested to try on her. So obviously was delighted with the prize. Like you say, in eventing, prizes like that don't come along very often. So I was really excited to try it with her. So we sort of agreed we would start the process in the spring, the start of this year. So Denali has been wearing it now for a couple of weeks and just getting to terms with it. It's been so far so good, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing the benefits of it in the next little while with her.
You've just got to make sure that you steal her back off Adam when you're fully fit.
Yes.
I'm ready to go. He can take the credit, that's fine. But don't let him be taking over the ride now. What is the plan with her? I mean, obviously you are off for a little while, but do you have an aim for later on in the year?
Would certainly be to get up and do some 3 stars with her. Between COVID and my injuries, I'm obviously a season or 2 behind with them all. She's sort of at that age where ideally she'd have cracked on a little bit more by now, but at the same time I'm not crazy for rushing them. And look, when the time's right, I'm sure it will happen. So no, we'll take it as it comes at the minute. I'm not positive when I'll be able to get back on and get eventing again, but it'll certainly be this year. And yeah, a couple of nice 3 stars at the end of the year would be nice with her. And yeah, hopefully then crack on with no more sort of injuries.
No, definitely not. Tell us a bit about your setup as well, because you've got you've got a few really nice horses, but you came through the junior young rider squads for Ireland. You went to the junior Europeans in 2016, the young rider Europeans, when they were last held in Marsbergen in 2019 as well, with a lovely horse called Catriona. And tell us a bit about your sort of yard and string now.
Yes, so I'm really lucky to be based at home now with my little group of horses. Katrina is my top horse. She's been with me now for 6 or 7 years. She has brought me right up through the ranks, and just she's like my little best friend. She's done everything with me, taught me so much. She's probably the most difficult one still that I have on the yard, but still maybe a favourite. And yeah, we're lucky. We're based at home. I have 10 stables, usually sort of 8 horses in, ideally. At the minute, obviously not so much. Katrina sort of leads the pack, and then I've got George, who's Grafenstall's Distinction, who is another really exciting horse who, again, should have been at 4-star last year, will hopefully be this year. I've got a new 6-year-old, a couple of younger guys, including a half-sister to Katrina, actually. And I've got the other one, Candy, who I was also longlisted for the Europeans alongside Katrina with. So the two of them are like my two little sort of trusty faithfuls. They've stuck with me. And then obviously Denali as well.
So exciting times heading into the latter part of the year, but fingers crossed for a speedy recovery first as well.
Yeah.
Ella, thank you so much for coming on the show and for talking to us about it, because it has been the most remarkable journey. Actually, when you look at the kind of the ups and the downs, it really encompasses the roller coaster that is equestrian sport. It is not the most straightforward by any stretch of imagination, but it will all be worth it, I'm sure. And we will wish you a very, very speedy recovery, and we'll look forward to seeing you back out eventing later on this year, and hopefully get an update on how Denali goes in the light mask as well.
Yes, no, thank you very much. And I just want to sort of thank everyone, I suppose, for the support in these horrendous times. Could not keep the guys going without Adam, Danielle, Graham, who works with me, and my family, who are ever supportive, no matter how many times I seem to make this look rather pointless.
Oh, so, bless you. Yeah. Honestly, I can only imagine how hard it is to go into, I think, sort of at back end of last year. Yeah, we're all systems go, and then to come out this year and be like, no, we're not for a little while. But look, take it steady and get well soon. Event riders are made of very, very tough stuff, and I have absolutely no doubt that you are. So get well soon, and fingers crossed we'll see you back out competing in the not too distant future.
No, I'll be as quick as I can.
It'll be worth it. Don't go too quickly. Look, listeners, we hope you've enjoyed a little insight into Ella's success in the Equilume Power Average League in 2021, and she could well do it again in 2022, because she's got a bit of a smile on her face. I have no doubt she might be laid up for a little while, but she will be plotting how to retain her title. So let's stay tuned, and we'll be back very soon with more on the Equiratings Eventing podcast. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the Equiratings Eventing podcast.
Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I look forward to having you back with us soon.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more.
Listeners, we'll speak to you again soon.